Yeah.
Like, you just have to make it in the mood.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Uno.
Uno.
After traveling to so many places in the world,
Yeah.
what's one thing you learned about people?
Ooh, one thing you learn about people. That people's true natures are individual, and they don't really. It makes no difference where you're raised, you know. Like where you're raised, how you're raised, makes no difference. You know, you meet all different kinds of people in each different place that are completely different to everybody else in their culture. You know, and the only people that you find who you would give like a you would say are the same in that culture, or you'd say are different to everybody else, are just people who are subscribing to the culture. You know. They're just people who are just following the rules as per the religion or as per the culture says, and you never really find out their true nature. So, like, you know, I wouldn't say people are the same. I'd say they're completely different. Naturally, naturally, people are completely different. So individually, completely different. You could turn it around and say universally everybody's the same, because they're all completely different.
What's been making you happy lately?
It's been making me happy lately. What's been making me happy lately? Letting go of a number of different moral letting go of a lot of different moral like rules and stuff, standards, and not judging people so harshly, you know, and in the same way not judging myself too harshly either, and that's been making me happy in a general sort of, not day to day, but in a general way, and letting go of people and letting go of like sort of standards that I have, you know, as well. For other people's behaviour and stuff, and just sort of being more open to it. That's been making me quite happy recently. And actually having like some kind of direction to move in, you know. Didn't have that for years and years.
Really?
100%. So yeah, that
having a direction.
Yeah, having some kind of
purpose. At
least, yeah, purpose, or just an interest, you know, like a specific interest that you can turn into. Maybe, you know, something that you want to do for money. You know, that concept is quite new to me. So there's that. I mean, just being more selfish, really, in that way, you know. Self-centered. Yeah.
Good too. Who is your hero and why?
Who's my hero? Whew. Who is my hero? Shit, I don't know, man. I'd say several, you know, on different levels. Like, you know, philosophically and kind of spiritually, is a friend of mine in France, who's sort of still, all the stuff that he sort of told me, we talked about, and it's still resonating, you know. So I'd say it's a hero in the sense that he's one of the main people who pushed through a lot of barriers, you know, himself, and then he got to kind of where he is, where he can kind of just be happy in absolutely any situation. You know, even if it's the worst, he can still be sort of, you know, happy to be alive at least. I mean, heroes in the sense that, you know, there's not people that like try to, yeah, they're inspirational rather than. And really, anybody who like tries to or can live their life according to their emotions rather than according to just, you know, stuff that they think about or stuff that they've been taught. You know, because that, I find that really hard. You know, it's something I find really hard. So anybody I find who's doing that, you know, I find them to be inspirational as well. You know. And people who are irrational, people who just do like shit just because they're going to do it and just live the present every moment. It's really difficult to do. You know, most of us are thinking about the future, we're thinking about the past. You know, and these people are actually there, like, so they won't miss a moment of it. You know, whereas I'll be thinking like, okay, we're here, where are we going to go next? You know, like most people do that naturally. They'll be like, where are we going to go next? They're not here anymore. As soon as they start thinking about where they're going to go next, they're here, but not really. Not taking advantage of anything that's on offer. And so you look at an American group of tourists, it's exactly that. Where are we going to go next? Japanese group of tourists, they're like, okay, we've got the picture, where are we going to go next? Didn't get the atmosphere, didn't get anything. Yeah. You know, if there was somebody sitting there who was playing music, they'd be like, right, well, that's all right, but we've got to go. You know, like they really like the music. Maybe if they waited another song, they'd be inspired to write music themselves. You know? But they never spend enough time. So then that's really difficult. And people who do that, because it also takes a certain amount of selfishness, you know, which is frowned upon, but in fact it's your life, you're going to live it. You know, at the end of the day, even if you make allowances for other people and stuff, yeah, it's nice. But, you know, you're going to miss out on a certain amount of life, you know. This whole idea of sacrifice being a positive thing is just a religious doctrine, you know. You know, especially Christians, like, sacrifice yourself, it's like their main thing. It's like this guy who's dying on a cross, you know, like sacrifice yourself.
And then you go to hell.
Yeah, and then you're going to be fine, you know. So all these people, you know, you see it often, you know, they're just sacrificing life, entire life, looking after somebody, or, you know, I understand if they're doing it out of love, then, but it's the motivation that's important there, you know. And so if they're doing it out of love, then fine, and they're enjoying it as well. But if they're doing it because they have to, and you see they're not enjoying it, you see they're upset, you see they're not happy, you know, frustrated and all of that, so, and that just, it will never have a positive outcome either on the person they're looking after, or on themselves, or people around them. So
We're just starting. Two more. Number 4. What makes life worth living?
For you.
Yeah,
what makes life worth living?
Yeah.
For you specifically.
Yeah.
For me, it's things I'm gonna see, things I haven't seen, places I haven't been, people I haven't met, and experiences I haven't had. And you know, it's as well as the day and just sort of, you know, sunrise, blah blah blah, all that crap, you know. It's also, you know, the promise of things to come, you know. Like when I think about long term, getting old and stuff, you know, the main thing is like what's the future going to be like, you know, to be there in that future, you know, when like people are like flying around in cars, flying cars and shit, and like, you know, you got a computer inside your brain that like prints things out of your mouth and stuff, you know, like just stupid shit, like, you know, just when you think like, well, what, you know, you look at oldies today and they're sort of walking around like, sort of like walk around like a computer lab or something like that, they'd be like, what's going on here, you know, like, honey, you know. Oui, what's the dernière question?
What's one question no one has ever asked you, but you ask yourself all the time?
Oh, that's a good one. What's the one question nobody has ever asked me, but I ask myself all the time? That's a heavy one. Anything that I ask myself that people haven't asked me. Are you crazy? Yeah. People have nobody's ever asked me. Are you, oh no, somebody's asked me. Are you crazy?
Really?
Yeah, loads of people have asked me. Are you crazy? But they do it, you know, rhetorically.
But they don't do it.
Well, not literally.
No, literally, no, I suppose not. But do I ask myself that question?
I do.
Not really. Occasionally you get worried about, you know, thoughts and things that go through your head. But then do I ask myself if I'm crazy? I kind of gave up on that concept when I started philosophizing too much and things like that.
Why'd you give up on it? Why'd you give up on that like thought?
Because crazy is just a standard. Like there's a standard way to think, and then there's a crazy way to think. You know, like they developed crazy houses mostly in Victorian times when, you know, they were trying to make sure everybody behaved the same. And when people don't behave the same, then we call them crazy. But yeah, they just have a different way of thinking. Doesn't mean they can't be emotional. Or they can't, you know, if they lose touch with that, you know, then perhaps you could call them crazy. But I'd you know, prefer to say that they're hurt or something like that, or you know, damaged rather than. And crazy implicates that you're lost, you know, for good, doesn't it? And I don't really appreciate that. People labeling other people like that. I don't know what question nobody's really asked me. What question I asked myself that nobody asked me.
No, I think that's amazing.
That's pretty much it.